Good evening and welcome to Omnibros Live. I'm Omnidog from Omnidog's Vault, joined as always by my fabulous co. God damn it! I thought I muted that. I just muted it. Where is that coming from?
I don't hear anything.
I don't hear anything.
I heard it. Okay. Man.
Maybe it's those.
I love these intros.
It's the haunted chips from last time.
I'm Omnidog from Omnidog's Vault, joined as always by my buddies Geo from A Geek in Weekdom.
There you go. Thank you. Great to be here, Jess, Riley, and everybody in the chat. Happy to be here and talk some comics with everybody. So thank you for joining.
Comics are great. God, I love comic books. And Riley sporting a fuchsia shirt. I'm going to say it's fuchsia.
It's
Venom.
It's red and blue. You can't read. It's like houndstooth.
Oh,
and then I got a Venom t-shirt.
Radical. Riley, the Omnibus collector himself. I already said I was who am I? Omnidog from Omnidog's Vault. That's who I am. And it's been that kind of day. I'm going to have a full frost top root beer tonight. I don't care. I'm going to drink this whole thing right before your eyes. And maybe Riley will find some Knob Creek and talk about Civil War II.
You're not going to pour it on a book?
I've read nothing but really good books recently. I've been lucky. I have been very lucky. I've read a lot of really quality books. I read one book that I can't make a judgment on recently. It was called, I can't even remember what it was called. I read it last week. But I can't make a judgment on it because I think it was called like The Wandering. And I feel like I can't make a judgment on it until part 2. There was so much left undone that I need to read part 2 to kind of fill in all the blanks and stuff. Who am I, Hasselhoff? Kristan in the chat giving me some crap. That's the best. I should give you a timeout for that, Kristan, but that's so funny. Don't hassle the Hoff, man.
It's Thursday. We're having fun. Don't worry about it. We are having
fun. We've got a couple of books we're going to review.
And Luis is on the way.
Luis is on the way. Okay, good. Thank you, Mutant Menace. Kristan really knows what buttons to push on me to make me laugh. We've got question and answer. We're happy to answer your questions. And we've got books to review. Dead Orbit by James Stokoe, the first volume of X-Men Red, and then a book that has about 3 titles, and I'm going to say as many as I can and see if I can get one of them right. I think The Resurrection of Jean Grey is one of them. The first one is Phoenix Rising or something. What's the name of this book?
It's Phoenix Resurrection, The Return of Jean Grey.
Okay, whatever. It's about Jean Grey and her resurrection. It was a good book. I enjoyed it.
Jean Grey 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But while we wait for Luis, we can talk about InStockTrades.com.
That is a great segue. InStockTrades.com, where you can get your collected editions up to 50% off. Loyalty discounts add 2% to that. Every quarter, there's an Omnibroslive discount code. I think we're due for that. That's probably coming up pretty quickly. If you're in the United States, you order $50 or more in an order. That gets you free shipping. Don't know how they do that, but they do it. Fabulous customer service, fabulous packaging. That's InStockTrades.com. who is our sponsor. Yes, they are our sponsor.
We love it.
Shocking. We love
What's up, Louise?
They tolerate us. And there's Lou the Dude.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
The lewd dude.
The Lou Dude.
Louise, have you
Lewd dude.
decided what you're gonna watch this weekend?
Actually, yeah, I have. And probably nothing, to be honest. I'll just because Godzilla's on this weekend, and what's coming out is Brightburn, and everything that I've heard about Brightburn is that it's not that good.
Oh,
And-
really? I really wanted to like that.
I did too. I heard it's not that good, and the other choice was Aladdin, and I'm like, I'll just wait for Godzilla.
Yeah, that's the right answer.
There is not enough candy, dollar bills, action figures,
Pops and statues.
pops, statues, comic books. And I can't think of anything else that motivates me. Maybe a lineup of scantily clad women that give me kisses as I walk into the theater. That might motivate me to see Aladdin, but that's about it. And that ain't happening, so I ain't seeing it.
It looks pretty.
Yeah, that's about right. That sounds right.
Philip Evans, you can joke about whatever you want to joke about. You're not going to get banned by me. That's ridiculous. And I already got my tickets for Spider-Man Far From Home.
Ooh, me too.
Ooh,
I'm going to see it Monday, July 8th with my wife. That's the only superhero movie she likes is Spider-Man,
Excellent
which is a
choice.
big deal. So we're going to get in an Alamo at 10 a.m. And I'm pretty excited about it.
We're going to, I think, a 7 p.m. on the 2nd.
When does it open?
I think it's on the
Second?
2nd.
On the
Okay.
second.
Yeah,
Okay, good. Cool.
That's going to be like an early birthday gift to me. This year on my birthday, since we're in Dallas now with the nieces and nephews, I'm going to do a kids party. So I'm going to have like Spider-Man cake and plates and cups and napkins and stuff, and we're going to have a Spider-Man piñata and stuff.
Awesome.
It's cool, man.
So I'm
That
going to
is
do that
cool.
with the kiddos. And then next year I'll be 30, so we're planning a big shindig for the big 3-0. You guys are all invited.
I'm
Nice.
coming.
Yes.
I'll come to that.
It means I'm going to be like, I'm celebrating half of what you celebrated, Jess.
That's right. I celebrated
interesting
double what you're going to celebrate.
Well, before we get into the reviews, did you guys want to talk about the Batman news that we might be in denial about?
Command Control F for taunting.
I don't have F on my button on my computer. I still feel like we don't really have all the facts, so it's hard to say exactly what happened. First of all, I'm disappointed that, I mean, on the heels of his saying something was going to happen to change the character forever, he's all of a sudden let go from the title. But then Mitch Gerads is saying that they're going to have maybe a special project where they get the character and they get to do what they really want to do with him, maybe, and that somebody else is going to take over, which is cool. That part's okay with me if that's true, but that's kind of only hinted at. Somebody else is taking over at 100. King is finishing at what, 85?
That's what. So the idea right now is because he was supposed to go through 100 issues,
106
and
is the final number.
the the recent rumor was that he's getting kicked off, and then that rumor was expanded upon, and some people in the industry have commented on making it seem more like fact, but all of the facts aren't out yet. But the idea right now is they've said 85 will be his last issue, 100 is or or after 100 is still where someone else is supposed to take over. So now they've got this chunk of 15 issues that need to be filled in by someone, and that he will likely be able to conclude his story either on another title, like I saw Catwoman mentioned, or in like a mini series or a separate series, kind of like when Morrison went off of he went from Batman to Batman and Robin to Batman Incorporated, so it'd be like that kind of thing.
That would be okay with me as long as he gets to finish his story.
Right.
I prefer it to be in Batman, but if he gets to finish his story, I'm okay with that.
The thing that's annoying is like, because someone mentioned like sales numbers, and the sales numbers are still really high, like the highest series by DC, published by DC. And then if they're taking him off just to replace him with a temporary creator or creators before bringing in the big guns, which I mean everyone's guess is going to be Bendis on that, then it doesn't make sense financially, because who are they going to bring in for 15 issues that's going to sell better than like what's been happening? That's where my question is. Like,
Yeah.
Unless they bring in some really surprising name for a year, which seems like an odd occurrence. It could happen. It's not that it couldn't happen, but it's just kind of strange.
They bring back Morrison for a year.
Fuck, I'd be down for that.
Warren Ellis.
That was one of the names that I saw.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That would be boss.
Yeah, Ellis is a real good pick. I think it's going to Bendis. I mean, Bendis is the obvious choice, right?
He's already writing Batman in Superman. Like, if you read, I'm not like exaggerating. If you read his Superman stuff, it reads like a Batman book. Like, it's a big mystery. Superman even has his own like Matches Malone type character. Like, it's just, he's just writing a Batman book, but Batman can fly, and his name is Superman now. And even like the big event that he's doing, Leviathan or whatever, is dealing with like the DEO and a bunch of Batman characters, and the one shot that kind of introduced the Leviathan storyline that came out earlier this month, I think. Sorry, I'm trying to watch my dog. She's doing stuff. It had like Batman and Robin and Red Hood like talking to each other about stuff in it, like, and they were like a focus of it. Like, he's literally just writing Batman in a Superman book because they couldn't give him Batman yet.
Huh.
Which is going to piss me off, because if he leaves, let's say he leaves both of the Superman books to take over Batman, who knows? Like, he might stay on there. It sucks because then it's like they literally took Superman from Tomasi and Gleason to give it to Bendis.
Yeah.
And then he's gonna go off of it. So that, like, it's some real shenanigans.
I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be. We don't even know. All this is speculation, isn't it? Because we don't have key details as far as when he's gonna get, taken off the book and all that. For all we know, he could get taken off the book next month, or he could get taken off the book in December. I don't know.
Or it could not happen, because it could turn into an Omega Men situation where they announce that he's taken off and the fans' outcry is too big, and then they decide to continue on. Because that's, Omega Men got canceled. It literally got canceled with 6 issues. People got upset, and DC brought it back. So Tom King, coincidentally, was able to wrap up his story. And I know Batman is a lot more divisive. And I think that's because compared to something like Omega Men had a smaller audience because it's not Batman. And that series, like the people who are reading it are people who are going to like it. They're reading it because it's the type of thing they're going to enjoy. Batman fans, you know, there's a very broad spectrum of Batman fans, and a lot of them are not going to enjoy any given Batman book. A lot of people don't like Snyder's, a lot of people don't like Morrison's, a lot of people don't like, name any popular Batman run. It's always going to have people who don't like it. And it's always going to have people who do like it. And in this case, it was very divided, and people are very vocal about it too. But a lot of the creators out there do enjoy it. And I think that given the voice that the creators have had for themselves on like social media, like Twitter and Facebook and all that, that those voices might echo a lot louder than, you know, they might have in the past, like other creators kind of vetting for that run.
I was always, Tom King's run for me has always been a mixed bag so far for his Batman stuff. It's had good highs, but man, some of the lows for me have been really low. Where I'm just like, I don't care what's going on in this book right now. After the wedding, the quote unquote wedding, it got on a high, and then it just dipped right back down again for me. I was like, oh god. So I don't know.
For me, the only low was like the first 4 issues, and then after that, I've just been, every time a new issue comes out, I'm just loving it.
Yeah,
like McDonald's.
See, that was me with Snyder's run up until the Bloom stuff. The Bloom stuff I didn't care for, but for me, Snyder's run was every single issue that was coming out. Him and Capullo were just crushing it for me, and it was consistent. And I don't know, just the Tom King stuff really hasn't resonated with me too much. It's just been kind of hit and miss.
Our friendship is over.
Yeah, I didn't say I hated it. It's just it's hit and miss with me. I don't care too much.
How were we ever friends in the beginning? I don't know. What was our friendship based on? It was based on a falsehood.
Right.
Like I like what he was doing with Bane, but I just think the Bane stuff, for me, it's taken really. He's playing a really long game. Like Hickman would probably go, dude, let's get this going.
Well, you are right. We don't have all the facts, and it's hard to make it a real kind of complete discussion here without having the facts. One thing that bugs the heck out of me is that Bleeding Cool was right about something. That just drives me nuts because they're always wrong about everything, and they were right about.
What's funny is when they report on something and then it takes like a few years or many years, and then they come back and they're like, "We were right." Like they reported back when I was a freshman in college that there was going to be a follow-up to Watchmen, like a sequel. And when Doomsday Clock was announced, they linked to the article and they were like, "We were right." And I was like, well, I mean, if you fucking throw a rock, eventually you're gonna hit your target.
Yeah, they're more into the clickbait stuff. I'm not a fan of them.
No, Sibley works for Newsarama. Trigonosis. Yeah, so there's more to be discovered, more to be learned, and we'll figure it out. And comic books will still be published, and we'll figure things out, and we'll still get good stuff to read.
I don't know, man. Comics are not going to be published.
It's the end of the journey.
Yeah, it all began and ended with Tom King.
There you go.
Well, I don't disagree with that.
Whoa. Lofty statements coming out from the OmniBros today. But we have, I guess Luis and I have some books to review. Because Jess, you already talked about these books.
Monday, Omar and I and Gio did not review them, but Omar and I talked about them. And these are the books that IST sent us to review. Actually, fairly recently, we did better on these than we did our last review book.
I was so surprised when you guys were. I was like, "You guys did the review already? We didn't wait like forever." I think these were all suggested by Omar. I mean, we all kind of said Alien, but he suggested the X-Men books.
Yeah,
which is different because usually I find myself being the one like pushing for what we get. Luis, did you want to go first? Because I have some kind of like different comments to make about these books.
Okay. I guess let me start with let's start with the good. I really dug Alien Isolation. James James Stocco, I think that's how you pronounce it. Stocco. I never know how to pronounce his name. A fantastic artist. And Alien Isolation is set in the alien universe, as you would imagine, and it centers around this crew that finds this abandoned ship. Inside of this ship are 3 bodies that are kept in stasis, and you can imagine where the story goes from there. It's a pretty basic by the numbers alien story. You're not really going to get anything too crazy or too shocking or anything like that. Stocco really doesn't add anything to the alien mythos. What you're getting here is really just that signature, super highly detailed Stocco artwork that if you're a fan of, that's what you're coming to this book for. I really dug this. I really dug the story, for what there was. But really, you could breeze through this in probably 15, 20 minutes. It's not a long read. It's super quick. And the dialogue is really sparse throughout it, almost to its advantage in certain scenes, especially in the opening. As far as the characters, really, they were just all cannon fodder. that's really all I felt for these guys. It was like, all right, well, these are just basically cannon fodder for when the alien shows up. Stocco draws a mean fucking alien in this. It looks cool. And the thing is that Stocco's able to kind of replicate H.R. Giger's classic designs for Alien. And as far as like the spaceship and the design and everything like that. But he adds his own flair to it. And I really dug that about this book. Like I said, there's not much really to this. It's you're buying this for the art. Like, hands down, you're really getting this for the art. I actually think his Godzilla book, I enjoyed it a lot more, Half Century War, than I did this one. I think it was a stronger book overall. Story-wise, I really cared more about the characters than I did in this one. But if you're jonesing for something in the Alien universe and, you weren't that crazy about the stuff that Ridley Scott has been doing with his prequel series, yeah, I recommend you check this one out. I mean, it's what's this going for right now? It's $34.99. What's the going price on this on IST right now? Anyone?
Probably close to 20.
Okay, so probably close to $20. You really can't go wrong with something like this. It's oversized. It's a really, really good little collection. And yeah, I recommend this one a lot to anybody out there that really has a passing interest in the Alien universe. There's a few special features on the back, such as sketches, artwork, things like that. Just to give you guys kind of a glance at the level of just detail that Stocco really, really puts into his designs and in his books. He's like this. This is just the way he is. He's not the fastest artist, as you can imagine, with something like this. But fuck me, I really like his stuff. And Ryley, you weren't crazy about him on this book when you read the first issue, if I remember correctly.
I'll go ahead and do my part on this book right now, I guess. But I love this book. Like, I do. I think it's a really fun story. It fits really well in the universe of the Alien movies and stuff. It works really well. And Stocco is a genius level artist, and I do think that the maximalistic, detailed art style that he has works really well for the ship and the creatures in particular, because it, like you said, it does kind of echo a lot of H.R. Giger's. He was very detail oriented in his work as well. A lot of the details were the best thing about that work, about what we see in there. Mm-hmm. But I pinned it down when reading it and looking at it on these oversized pages. The parts that bothered me were, because this is just phenomenal. Like, this page, that's amazing. That's just beautiful. There's no two ways about it. And even this, like, the starkness of this page, that's just a great panel. But it's the faces of the people. And I'm gonna, like, I have nothing against the way that he draws people in general, but for this book in particular, it's too cartoony, in my opinion. Like, Now, another book of his that I talked about, I think on this show sometime maybe last year, was Sullivan Sluggers.
Love Sullivan.
Sullivan Sluggers it's a horror, but it's like comedy horror, you know? So his style with these, cartoony looking characters, it works so well for that. Because it's kind of like what you'd expect out of a book that has this horrific, hilarious tone to it. But Alien is not funny. And so those types of faces, the like almost anime like eyes and expressions don't really do it for me on this. So scenes like this where everyone is outside of their masks and stuff were a little less attractive to me than the scenes, with just seeing the alien going around and doing the alien doing the alien thing. So I'm happy that I finally pinpointed my issue with this book, but the rest of it is so just glorious, just amazing artwork throughout, so good. And I am going to agree with you. I think that the better story was Godzilla, and I figured you would mention it. And if I had said something first, I was going to mention it to you, like that I knew that you loved his Godzilla as much as I do, or if not more. But I think at points the artwork in here might surpass the artwork in Godzilla. It's been a minute though, so I don't want to solidify my opinion on that. But this is truly beautiful.
I would agree with that. I think his what impressed me the most as far as his artwork on this wasn't actually even the super detailed stuff. It was actually his use of negative space.
Yeah,
there are some genuine pages and panels where it's like, wow, you nailed that feeling of just that loneliness of being in space. Especially the closing panels where you're just like, oh, there is nothing out there. This guy he's pretty much fucked. Like, and he nails that feeling of isolation.
and it works also because of that's a lot of what the movies, at least the first movie, was. It was that dread of being alone in space. No one in space, no one can hear you scream, being the tagline. And I think that he does, like you said, he captures that feeling so well throughout this book. So I totally recommend it. I think that it's a great package. I think that any fan of the movies should be a fan of this series, and don't take too much weight on my commentary about the cartoony anime faces, because there's so much else. Like, it's a 9 out of 10 for me. I'm not saying like, oh, cartoony anime faces, nope, 6 out of 10, can't do it. It's still like a 9 out of 10 type of book for me.
That's fair. I would agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that number. Yeah. He's got
Okay. What did you think about the X-Men books?
Which one? Let's go in order.
So Phoenix first.
Resurrection of Phoenix. I was a bit concerned getting into this, considering the fact that I haven't read anything recent. As far as like the last recent thing that I've read of X-Men was the Bendis stuff, and even then, I didn't even get through all of that. So when I asked you guys, I was like, what do I need to know to read this book? And you pretty much nailed it on the head. Jean Grey's coming back. I'm like, all right, cool. That's really all you need to know as far as when you want to read Phoenix Resurrection. I thought this was okay overall. I know a lot of people online were really clamoring about it and thought it was pretty good. To me, maybe it's just because of the fact that I'm not getting like the deeper cut references, because once I finished it, I was like, well, let me look online and see. I know there's a lot of deep cut stuff in here that a lot of X-Men fans, like I'm sure Ryley and Omar, really were digging and really were seeing in this, but that was all right overall. I think I like the fact that basically it gave us a Jean Grey who her mind was so fragile and was kind of so broken that she had to create her own semi-little pocket universe in order to deal with everything that was going on, and how everything in the background was falling apart, and you would see her just no, like everything is working out, everything is totally fine, everything is good, da 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 da. And there's a lot of people out there that actually kind of do that. As far as when tragedy is happening in their life, they just kind of try to brush it off and try to keep going like if nothing's going on.
Well, I do that just in general.
Me too. I really dug that. There's a moment in here involving Old Man Logan that I really, really enjoyed when he confronts her later on in the story, and he tells her, "Hey, this is kind of what's going on." Everybody's kind of, well, what can we do? Because if we push her too far, she will basically just, I guess, semi-spoiler, merge with the Phoenix Force, and well, we're all kind of well and truly fucked. And Old Man Logan just kind of walks in there and handles it the way that he does.
Yeah, that was cool.
It was really cool. I really enjoyed that moment. I mean, overall, this for me, it wasn't that. I mean, if I were to give it a rating, I mean, if you're somebody who's remotely curious about the X-Men and you're wondering, well, where can I start? This actually isn't a bad place to start. You really don't need to know too much about what's going on. All you need to know is that Jean Grey is back. The Phoenix is back. The Phoenix wants to merge with her, and she's created basically like her own little pocket universe in her head as far as like what's going on. Like Scott Summers is still alive and things like that, which at first kind of threw me off because I was like, wait, didn't Scott die in that stupid event a few years ago or something? Where it was like I forgot how it goes. It was like Emma Frost was envisioning that he was still alive or some stupid shit.
That was an awesome event because it was the Inhumans.
That was horrible, man.
Yeah, no, it wasn't the best, but yeah, I just wanted to mess with you.
Yeah, it was that he died from the Terrigenesis virus, and Emma had made everyone believe that he was still alive, and then at the end you find out that it was all her little illusion, basically, and a lot of people were like, so he goes out with a whimper.
Wait, what event was that?
Inhumans versus X-Men.
Okay, right.
Yeah, and a lot of people online were super pissed. Like, really pissed.
Because he literally went off panel. Like, one of the biggest characters of the X-Men, if not all of Marvel Comics, was killed off of panel with a whimper and not with a bang, like you would expect from such a character.
Yeah, well, I mean, Cyclops hasn't really had the limelight in a while, right? As far as like the Marvel stuff, they kind of, I mean, even before that, they were kind of sidelining him a bit. I know he was
the head of the whole Uncanny part of Bendis's run.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and then because he was the one who offed Professor X,
right,
in Avengers versus X-Men. So he was like basically on the lam and had his own group of mutants during that whole thing. And then after that, though, it wasn't too long thereafter that he wound up getting, no, it wasn't even, it was like immediately thereafter, because they didn't even tell you. They're just like, skip forward X amount of time after Secret Wars, and they're like, oh, Scott died. And they don't tell you how. And then, like, that's another reason I was so disappointed, or people were so disappointed, is because they built it up. They built, like, hype around this event to be like, this is where we're going to find out where Scott died. It wasn't Inhumans versus X-Men, it was Death of X, which, like, came out right before that. And they're like, this is it. We're going to find out. We're going to find out what happened to him. And then you find out that he died off panel. It's like, so he died off panel. And so yeah, it was just a lot of
some other book, not that book.
Exactly. It was some boo boo. I don't know. It was a decent event overall, but it was just that part of it was kind of like, really, that's the thing you can do to us here.
So what did you think about the good book, the X-Men Red book?
Well, Ryley hasn't given his opinion.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Ryley.
No, go ahead and do X-Men Red, because I want to kind of talk about both of the X-Men books together.
Okay. Well, I mean, this is kind of one giant. It pretty much is one giant story together. The return of Jean Grey and the X-Men Red. I guess I would give the return of Jean Grey a 7.5. I really dug it, but it's nothing I would really go out of my way to pick up or like go crazy. If you can find this in your library, I think it's a good read.
It's higher than I thought you were going to give it.
Really? You thought I was going to go lower?
Yeah, I thought you were going to go all Captain Marvel on it.
No. Aw. There's nothing written that's as worse as Kelly Sue DeConnick's run on that book.
Well, I'm interested in what you thought about X-Men Red then.
Okay. I liked X-Men Red a little bit more than I did actually The Return of Jean Grey.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I didn't care for was who was the artist on the not issue 1, the issue before issue 1, because I thought that art was horrible. I just didn't care for it. The style. Somebody probably tell me. So right, this pretty much picks up right after the events of the return of Jean Grey, and here we have Jean Grey, who she has basically just come back, and she's seeing that the world is pretty fucked up for the mutants and for minorities. Because look, let's be honest, Tom Taylor does not bury the subtlety here really deep. He hits you with a goddamn hammer on your head. And I kind of actually like that about this book, because the X-Men have always been has always been a book involving politics or involving characters that were minorities or the oppressed, and Tom Taylor pretty much puts that right up front here. I mean, he does not shy away from, the Tiki Torch bearers or, the Tiki Torch Fest Palooza, whatever that was a few years ago. And basically it just follows around Jean Grey as she is putting together her new team of X-Men and she is saying, we are going to basically show people that there is a better way that we can coexist. Basically, this is classic X-Men to me. Like, this is the classic stuff where we are going to show them that we can live together, that we can just do kind of not one-off issues necessarily, because there is an overarching story, but we're going to show them that we can be better than what they think of us. And my dog apparently agrees.
Which is basically her going with the Charles Xavier ideology,
Right.
as
Right.
opposed to what we saw from Scott as a leader who started to go down the Magneto, ideology of like,
Right.
we can't try to live with them any longer.
Right, and it fits her character, because when you think about it, she's been gone away from all this stuff for years and years and years. She didn't experience all the stuff in AVX. She didn't experience all the Terrigenesis and whatever happened to the Inhumans, which I'm still wondering what's going on with them in the Marvel Comics universe. She's from an era of a long time ago where Charles Xavier's stuff was still very much in her mind and very much a belief of hers. So her bringing that stuff back really makes sense within the character. Who the fuck is what's her name? The little girl.
Honey Badger?
Yeah, who's Honey Badger?
That's
awesome. That's Wolverine's little clone.
If they in the Tom Taylor All New Wolverine series, you meet her like in the first arc or something. Basically, Laura finds more clones, more of her, and there's
I remember that. Yeah.
So one of them, Gabby, winds up kind of joining her as her sidekick, and she develops her own role as the Honey Badger.
And she's got her own pet Wolverine, and she always gets all the best comic lines in the books.
Yeah, she's a good comedic relief and kind of a foil against Laura, who's a little more serious.
Yeah. Who? Okay, do you guys find out who the first artist is? Because whoever drew Laura as the first artist, that is the tallest X-23 I have ever.
It's
and I was like, whoa, when the fuck did Laura grow like 6 feet tall and she's aged like 30 years and is a 3-a-day pack smoker? That was horrible.
Pascal Alix.
Never do comics again. Never. Go work at NBC. commission work. Go do like sketches for people. I just don't do this. Do not do this, man, because it is not your calling. Laura looks horrible. She looks horrible at the beginning of that book. Anyway, I'm probably the only one on this right now.
I don't have the books in front of me, so I can't say.
That bad?
Yeah, she's pretty womanly in this one. Let me like. There's this image right there. So I wanted to say some things that were a little bit different about this.
Oh,
go right ahead.
One last thing. Extra points for this book for bringing back one of my favorite X-Men villains. I'm not gonna say who it is, but it was like, oh fuck yes, they're bringing back her.
Okay, so
I think we already talked about her on Monday, didn't we? Or did we?
I don't think we did. I don't remember.
Oh, all right. Well, Luis, you need to read. It's even better. Is X-Men Red 2? That's even. That's even better than book 1. I loved book 1, but I freaking loved book 2.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's great because
I dug book 1. I did.
I mean, I really dug book 2 a lot.
Yeah. This was a good gateway for me to get kind of jump back into the X-Men. I dug book 1. I mean, I guess if I were to scale it, give it a score, I'd say probably an 8.5 on that one.
Yeah.
So I'll say like I was probably about the same as Luis on Jean Grey as far as quality, and then on X-Men Red, I really enjoyed this series. I remember when the first issue came up, and I was like, this delivers exactly what I wanted. And it is because of what you were saying, how like it kind of goes with that classic type of X-Men ideology and the stuff that Jean's trying to do, and the fact that she's been gone for over 15 years, I think, at this point, and pops back up to this world that's so different because she's missed everything since Morrison's New X-Men. And all of a sudden she comes to this new world where everything's very different. And she's like, yeah, no, I'm not about that. Xavier's not here, so I'm going to go ahead and do what I think he would have done in this case. So it was a really great series. Tom Taylor does a great job. But this is what I wanted to say. Like, so Phoenix Resurrection is very much representative of kind of an issue that I have with a lot of, specifically with X-Men comics as of late. And that is that Marvel has not been able to sit down and just commit to something with the X-Men. And it sucks because I enjoy most of the X-Men stuff that they put out. But what happens is they start an era of books, it gets momentum, and then they do something and they close that era off and then bleed it into something else. And Phoenix Resurrection is kind of like exactly what that is like. And it was weird because it was happening right in the middle of one era of books. So it was like, so after Bendis, just to give a little map, after Bendis, they did the time where it was Extraordinary X-Men by Lemire. I think it was Dennis Hopeless on All New X-Men and Cullen Bunn on Uncanny X-Men, or Buncanny X-Men, if you will. Okay. And then that era got wrapped up by the whole Death of X and Inhumans versus X-Men. And it bled over into the new books they launched were the Blue and Gold. And Blue was Bunn once again, and Gold was Mark Guggenheim, which is a weird decision to give him a headlining book because he's not a headlining writer. And then they launched a bunch of other things. So that's when they launched like Iceman and the X-23 book that is very well received. And I enjoyed so many of these books. Even Guggenheim's X-Men Gold, I was usually enjoying to an extent. And then they had a Jean Grey series, and it was Jean Grey by Dennis Hopeless, and it was so good. And it was following young Jean Grey, the time-displaced Jean, and she was discovering herself. She was like going to different people and kind of learning about herself and who Jean was in this timeline and what the Phoenix is and reacting to that. And that's where we start seeing like the Phoenix is coming. And it was a thing that had been coming for that and basically that entire series. And then at the end of the series, it trails off, and boom, you get slapped in the face with the miniseries Phoenix Resurrection, which wouldn't have been such a bad transition, but it was very clear that Hopeless had his own idea of how he wanted to move this forward, but they cut it and then they throw this miniseries out, not even written by the same person, written by Matthew Rosenberg, mind you, who doesn't write the next book either. So it's not like you have Hopeless writing and then it goes into Taylor stuff, or Taylor writes it and then it goes into his ongoing series. You get Matthew Rosenberg popping up, and Rosenberg's a good writer, but it's so weird, and it just felt like such an editorial mandated thing to me that even though I enjoyed the book, it was just, it left me with that feeling of like I just read something that disrupted what was happening because editorial decided it should be so. Because editorial decided for whatever reason that they need a book that has Jean as the leader. It literally is it's a means to an end. And that kind of sours my impression of it, even if I did enjoy it at the moment. And that's something that it happens again, and we saw, like, I feel like the most recent era of X-Men is kind of going out in the same manner, where like everything's kind of fizzling out because of Hickman coming in and apparently his decision. It was his idea to tell Marvel, just let me restart the whole thing, and now they're relaunching everything. So after Red happened, like they ended Red, I think it only had about a dozen issues, and then that was the same ending as like Blue and Gold, and that whole era of books ended around the same time, and it made way for the new Uncanny X-Men series and all these other different things. And the current era of X-Men, it has felt like people who are trying to do what we are used to, or not what we're used to, but what we've seen in the past. They're actually trying to echo these old things. They bring back, you know, the characters that we grew up with. They bring back villains, they bring back all these different concepts. They make a book that looks like a classic X-Men book. And then the same thing is going to happen where it just gets chopped because of editorial. Well, because a writer convinced editorial to make it so. It sucks because I'm actually like enjoying a lot about this era. And it also sucks because I know I'm going to enjoy a lot about the next era too, because of how much I love Hickman. So at the end of the day, Phoenix Resurrection is just really, it is all of that in a 5-issue miniseries package. It's all of those issues that I have with the way that the franchise gets treated.
I think it's a big problem because it's like you said, they're not giving these guys enough time to actually tell their story. They're cutting their legs from underneath them. Now that you told me that Red is 12 issues, I'm like, what the fuck? Like I genuinely really enjoyed Red, and it had me curious enough to see where Tom Taylor was going to take the story next. And now that I hear it's only 12 issues, I'm like, well, of course, you know.
But it's okay because it wraps up actually perfectly.
Yeah.
Does it really? Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't drift off into nothingness. He wraps it up really perfectly.
All right, well, let's check out the rest of it then. And I mean, I get it because when you have a guy like Hickman who he says, I'll come and write your book, but you've got to completely nuke everything before it, you're probably going to bend over backwards and go, oh, it's Hickman. He's Hickman. He's going to sell books. Like his name alone, when you put it on a book, it's going to sell.
How about if he finishes East of West first?
It won't make sense for like the first year you're reading it, but eventually it'll come together.
Or Manhattan Project.
I would, yeah. At least he finishes his Marvel stuff.
Well, that's a good point.
His indie stuff, though, I guess, I don't know. Didn't he's still working on East of West though.
It's still going, and it's going towards its conclusion right now. And then someone mentioned somewhere that he said that he was working on getting Manhattan Project's wrapped up.
Okay, good.
Wasn't
So
there
it's-
he had a falling out with the artist or something like that?
That's definitely what I had heard, that there was issues with Nick Pitara. Bless you.
Bless him.
Bless you.
That's a shame. I really love Manhattan Project.
Because I know, like, Langdon Foss was doing some art on that series instead of Nick Pitara. So I don't know if he's going to continue doing the art or if they made up and are going to have Pitara back on. I don't know. But I am very excited for Hickman's upcoming X-Men material. It's kind of aggravating when you're reading all these different things, and especially like because Matthew Rosenberg, that's his X-Men run in general has been a bunch of little pieces here and there. He's done like a mini series here and a mini series there and a mini series here, and then all of a sudden he got pulled in as the main writer on Uncanny X-Men, and his Uncanny X-Men run is pulling from all of that stuff that he was doing. So I was like, man, this is really cool to see how he's developing, the plot lines from like his New Mutants miniseries that came out last year, and then it's getting cut from under our feet. And it's the same with like, God, what are their names? Is it Zach Thompson and Lonnie Nadler or whatever are the names I think who are doing? They did Cable, and then now they're doing like the main part of the Age of X-Man storyline. And no one's paying jack shit attention to Age of X-Man, but they're doing a really interesting job on that little story. No one cares. No one's buying it. It's got terrible sales. But I've been appreciating that like Marvel has let them do what they're doing. It's the same thing. It goes from like a small series to a small series to a small series to a backup in another series. And they're telling this story that's been unfolding, and now it's like getting into, I guess, some more of what they were trying to go for. And now it's getting cut short too. So hopefully like we don't see that same issue during Hickman's era on the X-Men if he continues writing Uncanny after his 2 minis. And I hope that he gets to do an extended run on there, and that with him, not just with him doing it, but with him doing that run on there, that it continues the general run of everything around it. Like if they have X-Force and X-Factor and Wolverine, that those books get to do their thing and be fluid for like at least a few years instead of the typical 1-year cutoff that we've been seeing.
Okay.
But it's definitely a fresh start. Like if you look at the most recent Marvel solicits, there's no X books on there except for the 2 by Hickman. All of them got chopped.
Okay, I will look forward to reading them next summer in collected editions.
So yeah, Jess.
Yeah.
Where can we order these books that we just talked about?
You can get them at InStockTrades.com, where you can get your collected editions up to 50% off. Loyalty discounts add 2% to that. Every quarter, there's an Omnibros Live discount code, which I bet is creeping ever closer. Over $50 in an order in the United States to get you free shipping. Fabulous service. Fabulous packaging. That's InStockTrades.com. Luis, what do you think about our taking a couple seconds and talking about that interesting article you and I read this morning on Facebook first thing this morning?
Oh my gosh, man. I tagged you in that this morning because I know we had mentioned it. We had mentioned it in the chat. All right, let's
but we mentioned it in theory on Sunday.
Yes.
And this morning it came to fruition.
All right. So let's I think we should preface this with, if you're going to get your panties in a bunch with us talking about
you know what? Actually, you can say this without any politics whatsoever. Okay. It's just what's happening.
Okay. So
it's just what's happening. You can say it without politics at all. It's just what's happening.
Okay, so if you're gonna get your panties in a bunch about basic economics, you might want to step out now. There's gonna be somebody. I guarantee it. There's gonna be somebody that's gonna go. Oh, don't you bring that shit into my comic talk. But this may affect us, depending on where your stuff is printed. So long story short, I tagged Jess in a post, and Jess could give more information on this than
I'm
I
gonna
can.
go find it right now.
Yeah, because he's more of a student of this stuff. And basically what it was there's a small publisher that he has a few projects that he had already set to publish for the rest of the year. Unfortunately, with everything that's going on with the tariffs and all the situation involving that, we're not going to get into details of that here. He is basically at best going to break even, and he is a publisher that is publishing basically some smaller stuff from like Frank Cho and a few other artist books. How does this affect us? Okay, so if let's say any of our Omnibus, again, this is me without me doing any deep dive, so if I get any of this wrong, please feel free to correct me in the comments or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm right at the page where it was, so I can help you. Go ahead.
Okay. So essentially, if let's say we have a Marvel, let's take the Annihilation Omnibus that was just recently re-announced to be reprinted. Not saying it is going to get reprinted through this, but let's say it gets reprinted through China. Because of the fact that it's getting reprinted through China, there is going to be a now 25% tax on this. Here's the thing. Jess, you can correct me because, like I said, you're better at this than I am. Here's the thing. Because of that 25%, the publishers and everybody that this trickles down to, they have to figure out a way to make up that money of the 25%. So chances are what that means is we are going to end up paying more for these books if they are coming out of China. Now, fortunately, I think we're kind of safe in that, in the sense that a lot of the Marvel omnibuses and stuff. What the hell is up with all my animals suddenly wanting to talk?
Dr. Doolittle.
Oh my gosh. We're safe in the sense that a lot of our stuff is apparently coming out of Canada. What this is going to affect is the smaller guys that are using smaller publishers, and I'm going to take a stab in the shot in the dark. Let's say like Terry Moore.
Right.
Well, he might be publishing his Strangers in Paradise reprint omnibus through China. Because it's cheaper. It's cheaper to publish through them than it is cheaper to publish through Canada or through other places. Mm-hmm. A lot of publishers have already talked about trying to move their stuff over through Vietnam and things like that because it's cheap over there too. But it ain't looking good for certain publishers and certain writers. So there are guys that they're doing Kickstarters right now that they're going to have to reevaluate how they're going to publish their stuff. They might have to increase the charges on their books, or they might have to take the hit economically. So, Jess, I think this is where you could give a better explanation than my dummy terms.
Yeah, well, this is just basic econ. I was an econ major in college, and this is basic econ. We can absolutely strip the politics out of it. There's a trade war going on. It happens no matter who's in office. Sometimes there's just a trade war that's going on between our country and China. The major people that are affected by it are going to be made whole, and that is farmers. Farmers are being affected by it the most, but Congress and the politicians that be are going to make sure farmers are okay. They're going to give them tax breaks. They're going to, because farmers are a huge lobby, and they're going to be made whole through tax breaks, through absolute checks cut to them, and they are going to be okay. The real consumers, I mean, the real burden is going to fall on consumers, because just because farmers are going to be able to keep their farms doesn't mean that the price increases won't get passed down to you and me through food, things like soybeans, things like that, that we export and that we import, things like that. Now, where it's really going to hurt is on I personally think that a lot of the Omnis, and I can go through my Omnis tomorrow since half of them are still sealed, and see where it says that they're printed, because a lot of them still say, I think they say printed in China. Now, Marvel is not going to have a problem getting books made in China. There's a 25% duty tax now in the end of June that will be implemented. Books manufactured and imported from China, including Hong Kong. Now, you take a book that's $125, like Annihilation was, and assuming it will be, and tack on 25%, Marvel will be able, that's a book that's going to get sold plus 25%. People will buy it anyway.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, at 25%, they're not going to, even at 25%, they're going to buy it. DC and Marvel, the big two, are not going to have any problems swallowing. They may swallow 10% themselves and pass on 15% to us. We will have to pay a little bit extra. I don't know the publishing model myself well enough to know if the business model can afford to take a 25% hit and pass it all the way down to the consumer. I will say that I think that Marvel and DC probably would swallow some of that in order to keep their chunk of the market, and not lose their piece of the market because their books are too expensive. But here's what Luis was alluding to, is that what we saw a couple weeks ago when Terry Moore's wife announced that there was going to be a Strangers in Paradise reprint, but it was coming from China. They were worried about tariffs making it too expensive to make a Strangers in Paradise book. There are no absolutes in life, and so I cannot say with certainty that this thing's not going to get made, but my gut reaction says with a 25% duty tax on a book from a small publisher like Terry Moore, where the money's coming out of his pocket,
yeah,
I don't see that book getting made with a 25% duty tax that's coming straight out of his pocket. He does not have the resources that Marvel and DC or even Boom or IDW. I mean, Boom and IDW will struggle with this if their books are published in China. But Strangers in Paradise, hardcover omnibus, I think that is going to be a tough sell for him to have to pay a niche book like that. It's not like that's a limited audience. Everybody's excited about it that we know about, but how many people do we know that really want to buy it?
He posted on his Facebook 9 hours ago that it's coming November 2019.
Okay, so he still says it's coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
We shall see.
Okay, maybe
they'll be more expensive.
Maybe he can just pass the cost on to the consumer. Maybe it'll be $175 book. I think this means that a lot of smaller publishers, John Fleskus, he publishes a lot of art books.
My heart goes out to that guy, man.
Sorry?
My heart goes out to that guy. I was reading that post and I was like, oh my gosh.
It is a heartbreaking post because not only because of it, can they not hire people, but I mean, he's going to barely make any money to survive this year because of this thing.
Yeah.
And in the big picture, you know, trade wars happen. I am not going to make a judgment on it because this is not my place to. This is the OmniBros. This is not Fox News or CNN or anything, and I am not going to bring politics into this because it's not the place. I'm just saying trade wars happen, but this is a case of where a small business person is not getting a check from the government like a farmer is.
Yeah,
he's suffering, and we will definitely feel through our pocketbooks any books that get published in China this year.
Yeah.
There's no question in my mind the tariffs and this duty tax are going to make any books, comic books that are published in China this year more expensive for us as consumers, because that is going to get passed straight down to us. And I mean, it's going to affect us in a lot of other ways, but this is for comic books. And it is going to make comic books more expensive because they are. And do you want to take your precious livelihood and try it out in Vietnam when you've already got printers in China that you trust?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you do a couple of test runs in Vietnam and see what it's like. I don't know. Maybe Canada's too expensive. Maybe it's not. I don't know a thing about Canada.
Well, I think DC publishes a lot through Canada, and DC tends to publish a lot more $75 books.
In Canada?
I was reading up on this. Canada is more expensive to publish.
Okay.
So maybe, but another thing that needs to be considered is the cost, the percent. What'd you say? 30%?
It's a 25% duty tax.
A 25% duty tax. That's going to be on the price that it takes to print the books, not on the cover price of the book. So if they're wanting to make up for that, we're not going to be paying an extra 25% on top of 125. We're going to pay an extra 25% on top of, you know, whatever the cost for printing 3,000 copies of an item is.
Right.
Okay.
So that it's not going to be $30. It would be smaller. So they might make new price points. They might have a 130, 135 price point instead of a 125 price point. But I don't think it would go up to 150 because they don't want, like, you're pushing it too far. That, like, DC publishes $150 omnis, and they're very few and far between, and they're always the ones that are like, this book is too big, it's going to kill me if it falls off the shelf big. Like, so that I think that there's a fine line that they're gonna hit, and if they don't reassess where the books are being printed and stuff, then it's going to, you know, it'll affect us a little bit. But I think that they will try and reassess. I don't know where to, but they'll definitely try and reassess exactly where these books are being made.
Well, Ryley, you also got to take in mind this. We're talking about people in our group that complain about 3%.
Hey, I'm not saying people are logical. I'm just saying that's the logic.
We have people in the group that bitch about 3%. Man, come on.
Yeah, they have to find a happy medium between earnings and the customer being happy with it as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough, and I felt genuinely really bad for the guy, because if you read his post, he's saying like he was planning on hiring new people to work the warehouse that he had, the publisher. He was planning to give bonuses. He even made it. He said in the post, "We're gonna be lucky if we break even this year."
Yeah.
This stuff, and there's going to be a lot of smaller publishers that are going to be hit by this. So
I think so too.
You know, it sucks. It really does suck for a lot of people out there. And you know, there's probably some of you that are like, "Oh no, this really doesn't affect me." This is more than books. we're just talking about books, but this will eventually spread out to even more than just books. So,
oh yeah, it's going to affect a lot of things that will come out of our pockets.
Yeah, so I really recommend that you do your homework on this stuff and be aware of what's coming.
There, I used my econ major, and I hope my parents are proud of me.
Feel smarter. This was like taking a class lecture. I liked it.
Well,
All right, the chat gonna do a pop quiz now, so stay tuned.
can we have something happy now?
Yeah,
Sure.
we can have question and answer. Ask us anything, man.
It's not.
I do have an idea for these SIM cards. I got a new phone, so I'm thinking I can stick these old SIM cards in my old phone.
Oh, we're gonna find out what's on them.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Oh, so if we don't hear back from
I know. I'm really afraid I'm going to unleash some deadly thing from the other side, upside down into the world.
It could be a virus. It could be secret codes to like the Declaration of Independence and how to steal it. I don't know. It could be a lot of
The Declaration of Independence.
what really happened to Marilyn Monroe, you never know.
Oh my gosh. What if it's clues to her death? Yeah.
the Black Dahlia case, stuff like that.
Good pull. Good pull.
No, Jess, it would just be Trump's tax returns or something like that.
Oh my god. It's probably, Pokemon stuff from 1989 or something.
Oh, that would be
Someone
awesome.
was talking about Pokemon 7 years before Pokemon happened.
Oh, okay. Pokemon from 1999. It's Pokemon Blue or something.
Hey, you got it right.
Yeah, because Gold and Silver came out in 2000.
Oh, all right. Way good, man.
So yeah, you're on the money on that one.
Yay me.
The true identity of the Zodiac Killer, it's Geo.
I thought it was Jake Gyllenhaal.
Let me hide my face. Gonna hide my face now.
You get the mosaic over your face from here on out.
I'll change my voice. It'll be a voiceover and talking really deep.
Everybody knows the Zodiac Killer is Ted Cruz. Everybody knows that.
Ted Cruz. He looks like a melted Muppet candle.
Hey man, that's my senator.
That is your senator.
Congratulations, Ryan.
Right.
Oh, now somebody's gonna get mad. We're talking about politics.
I will say that last night I was on a really good podcast.
Oh yeah, what?
Ooh.
It was called Marvel Nights.
Ooh.
This was a kid that's 19 years old. He lives in Nova Scotia, and he had so much knowledge at 19. I was astonished.
Cool.
His name's Ethan, and he's going to post it up on Sunday, and so I'll put it in the Omni group. And I was amazed. We had a wonderful talk for an hour and a half, and the guy has an amazing amount, nicest kid, and he has a remarkable amount of knowledge for 19 years old. He knows his comics.
Cool, man.
It was my first podcast.
Like an official podcast?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
You were name dropped on another podcast, just saying. So you're pretty famous already in the podcast world.
Bat Torch or whatever it is?
Yeah.
The one wasn't it Tom King was on and they mentioned you?
Yeah, what was that one? Bat Force Radio.
Yeah.
Bat Force Radio is the one that mentioned Omnidog when Tom King was on, and he said I had early Alzheimer's.
Because his Batman is your favorite Batman?
Yeah. So he said I had early Alzheimer's. I brought that up on the show last night, and Tom King mentioned Frank Miller, and I said that's not an apt comparison. Frank Miller and Batman had one good Batman. Granted, it was a historic Batman, but he followed it up with a bunch of crappy Batman.
Wait, there was year one and there was the Dark
Okay.
Knight.
Yeah. Year one. Okay.
You didn't like Batman fighting the Taliban, Jeff?
Oh,
Yes, I can point to Nova Scotia on a map. Put a map up, and I'll point it to it. Joe
You know,
Chip.
Dark Knight 3 was not horrible, I'll say.
I heard that. I heard it wasn't terrible.
But
I-
at the same time, it was co-written by Azzarello, so...
Yeah.
So the best for was mediocre.
But yeah, as far as continuity and doing it issue in and issue out, I mean, Scott Snyder, Dennis O'Neil, Tom King,
Grant Morrison,
yep.
yeah.
whose Omnibus Volume 2 is coming out next month, by the way.
Right. Peter J. Tomasi. I think I already said Snyder. Ed Brubaker did a 2-book series that was better than and longer than. Well, no, I guess at 2 books it wasn't. But who wrote all of Road to No Man's Land?
That was
Cataclysm
Nixon and Rucka and some other people.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
That was a group effort.
That was a group effort. Okay. So anyway, my point was while it was a game-changing book, I don't feel like I have early as Alzheimer's by saying that Tom King is my favorite Batman writer. And
because he mentioned Frank Miller as
he's the one that
contender.
mentioned Frank Miller. Yeah, he mentioned Frank Miller as somebody that I had forgotten. So I took umbrage with that.
Great umbrage.
I took great umbrage with that.
Well, I'm still reading the same series that I was reading the last time we talked, Jess, and I'm convinced, like, if you're gonna like any manga series, it would be this one. And looking at looking at Alien, I think that there's a good comparison to be made between Stokoe's art and Q Hayashida's art.
It's not
And
the art.
you
Written.
What?
It's not the art. It's the way that it's written that gets Jess.
It's because he can't read from freaking right to left, dude. Like,
It's totally true. I'm the first one to admit it.
I don't think that you dislike manga because you've watched anime and liked it.
Yeah.
It's that you can't adjust your brain to read the other way, and so you're like
I'm the
angry
first one
at
to
it.
admit that. I admit that. I'm the first one to tell you that my brain can't make the adjustment to read it the other way.
So that said, when the animation comes out, I'm gonna recommend you to watch it.
I will.
If it's as good as the series is, and I hope to God it is, I hope to God it does it justice, then you might wind up enjoying it quite a bit.
That'd be great. I love anime.
It's got violence, it's got comedy, it's got little girls with skull masks running around, and it's got boobs.
What is this again? It's got what?
There we go.
There it is. What book is this again?
It's called Doro Hidoro.
Oh yeah.
Well, it is getting into anime, so
Yeah.
it'll happen.
But I don't remember when it's supposed to start. Like next year or something?
Yeah, it doesn't have a release date, so I assume next year because it was announced last year.
Jeez. Well, it's complete, so I feel like it's a good... And it's a pretty, like... It's not very dense. Like, there's 23 volumes, but you can put a lot into an episode. Like, they could probably make it, like, a 52-episode series or something if they wanted to. Maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's a shame because I keep saying it, but I think just if you could just somehow get past the reading thing, I really think you would like Berserk because that's really up your alley. As far as like,
I think it probably is too. My brain just has a really hard time adjusting.
It's also a shame because the anime adaptation, at least the new one, is doo-doo.
it's horrible.
Oh, Berserk?
Yeah.
Oh,
no.
that's too bad.
But that one has everything: blood, gore, monsters, boobs. Like it has everything you like.
Yep.
That's a checklist for me.
The only thing
I mean,
it doesn't
if you-
have is root beer.
If you liked Punisher Warzone, come on, you're gonna enjoy Berserk.
I did like Punisher Warzone.
Just saying.
But did you like it better than Napoleon Dynamite?
This is
No. No, I liked Punisher Warzone for different reasons, but nothing could ever make me. I couldn't like anything more than I like Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh,
I mean, I can put at any time of day, I can pull, and on any day, I can pull Napoleon Dynamite off the shelf and watch it and be wildly entertained.
Hey, what about Nacho Libre?
I've never seen it. Is
Oh
that
my
good?
God.
oh
Dude.
yeah,
it's
yeah,
fun.
you're gonna like it.
Do
It's
you
fun.
do you like Jack Black?
I do a lot.
Okay, then yeah, you're gonna. It's Jack Black as a Mexican wannabe Mexican wrestler, luchador.
It's good. No, I really like it.
It's the same dude who wrote and stuff. I was the writer, the director, or both from Napoleon Dynamite. That it was like his next feature that he did, and I quote that movie all the damn time.
Oh, really?
It's good. No, it's-
Jared Hess, is that it?
Yeah, I think so. Now I want to do research, but either way,
Go
even
ahead.
if there isn't a connection that I'm thinking there is, I still think that you would enjoy it. That's a film recommendation.
Okay.
I didn't like Napoleon Dynamite, and I like Nacho Libre.
Oh, all right.
Same here.
Yeah, Jared and Jerusha Hess.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
they-
the ones that did Napoleon Dynamite.
And then you're gonna. This is heaven. You're gonna like this.
Nacho.
Nice. Okay, I'll watch that.
You know,
I have 5 days on my own. Friday through Tuesday, my wife is going to a reunion with her sisters, and I have time to fill. So I will watch Nacho Libre.
you'd also probably like Hot Rod.
Hot Rod.
Hot Rod's
Hot Rod, that's kind of out of left field, but I get where you're coming from, and yeah, if that's the type of stuff that Jess enjoys, then he might enjoy that too.
I have no idea what.
Andy Samberg, I think is his name.
Oh, I love Andy Samberg.
Is that who it is?
Yeah, it was one of his earlier like things because I think he was on the Saturday Night Live at the time, right? Like, and so he brings in different people from Saturday Night Live, and the guys from The Lonely Island are also co-starring in this movie. And it's basically like he's a wannabe stunt motorcyclist,
Yeah.
but he's really bad at stunt motorcycling. And it's got Will Arnett, Danny McBride, Isla Fisher, Bill Hader.
Oh my God, I love all those people.
Yeah, so it's stupid fun, the kind of stuff that you would expect from Andy Samberg, who like co-writes it, like the Lonely Island directed it and stuff.
Oh my God, have you seen the new trailer for the HBO show with Danny McBride, the new one where they're like televangelists?
I think I saw a photo, but I did not watch the trailer.
Oh my God, that looks hilarious. I can't wait to watch it. It looks so good. John Goodman is like the spitting image of my senior pastor of when I was growing up in a mega church. He is the spitting image of that guy. It looks so good. And he's just as big of a dick in that as my senior pastor was when I was growing up. What do you guys think about the Terminator trailer?
I haven't watched it yet.
It looks better than it probably is. I like it.
That's gonna be good.
I'm interested because Cameron is involved, and it looks like it's wiping the slate clean with the sequels past T2. So I'm really interested. But I don't
how
know.
is he involved?
He's producing.
Okay.
But the rumor is he's heavily involved in everything involving it.
How is he?
Probably.
Who's directing it?
Tim Miller, director.
There you go.
Oh
That guy.
shit! Okay.
It's a good trailer. I liked it, but we'll see.
I was the last one the one where Batman got mad. Was that the last Terminator?
No,
When he yells
that
at
was
the
number
English
4.
lighting director. That was classic.
I couldn't remember the Salvation, right? I couldn't remember the name. All I could remember was that Batman was upset.
No,
With the guy from Avatar also starred.
Yeah, that's right.
the last one was Genesis.
Oh, that was after that.
Yeah, that was after that. That was the
Mhm.
one where they ruined their big surprise in the trailer where John Connor turned out to be a Terminator in the movie or something like that.
Oh,
It was-
I do remember that. I do remember. I was working at the movie theater when that came out, and I was like, "This looks like bullshit," so I didn't watch it.
My brother went through a breakup that day, and he wanted to cheer himself up, so he went to watch a movie.
Boy.
Yeah, he saw that. He said he walked out of the theater and he felt even worse than before he went back.
What? Okay, so there was obviously T1 and T2, and then T3 was like from what 2008 or something.
Armageddon, I think is that was the
Probably
Is that
earlier.
the third one?
I think 2003. Or something.
Yeah.
What?
That was with the girl with the boobs and stuff. Yeah, the girl Terminator.
Yeah, the female Terminator, dude.
Rise of the Machines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
T3.
Right.
Yeah, 2003, and then the 2009. So I guess that would be the next one was Salvation.
I
Mhm.
liked Salvation. I didn't love it, but
I liked it.
I don't remember.
It was a fun.
I saw it in the theater like for the midnight release because at the time they were still doing the midnight releases and stuff, and my I this was like with my ex. We like saw a movie every weekend that month. It was it May, I think, of 2009, and it was the first week was Watchmen, and then I think the second week was Star Trek, and then the third week was Terminator, and then the fourth week or something like that, and one of the weeks I think was X-Men Origins Wolverine. So there was like 4 big franchise movies that came out that month.
Wow.
IQ, Geo has been watching Love, Death, and Robots and loves it. Or loves like 75% of it.
He loves Deaths and Robots.
He loves
fun.
Death and Robots. He thinks it's fun.
It's fun. I mean, like 90. I think I said like 90% of it was pretty damn great. The
Okay.
rest, it was just okay. 'Cause some of those stories were just kind of meh writing.
Meh at best.
But the effects on some of those shorts, they can range from like Hollywood cinema to like there's a little bit of everything in there, and it can be a little bit creepy at times for me.
ETL asks, is the Watchmen movie any good? I still have not got the gumption to sit down and watch it. I think we're gonna have opinions on this.
Yeah,
Haven't seen it.
I like it for what it is and what it tried to do, introducing people to the wonderful world of Watchmen. But I do recognize that it's not like the perfect adaptation, but it is a fun. It's a fun movie, and it looks pretty cool. I like the shots and cinematography and all that stuff. So, yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
I really enjoyed it, but it's been a very large amount of years since I watched it last. Like, not very large, I guess. It at the max, it's been 10 years. So I think probably 9 years since I watched it, and I really enjoyed it at the time for what it was because I think that it really showed an effort in trying to adapt that movie or adapt that comic into a movie in a way that actually worked out instead of in a way that would have audiences really like taken aback by it and like confused and stuff like what and it still kind of did that because people were like, why is there a giant penis on the screen? But like in general, I think the idea of how they turned the whole climax, I guess, from what it was in the comic to what it is in the film, it worked for film in a way that I don't think it would have worked if they did what happens in the comic with
I agree.
all that stuff. I'm like dancing around words trying to not spoil a 10-year-old movie for someone who hasn't seen it, and it's like it's been 10 years, so I'm really pulling a favor here. I don't, if you want to watch it, like I don't want to mess it up for you.
For
Watch
the two people in the comic
Watchmen.
book world that haven't read Watchmen.
I haven't watched a movie because I don't want to say what they did different.
Oh, they did do something different?
Yeah.
They radically changed the.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the ending's different.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was like a shot-for-shot exact thing.
No, okay,
No, but-
person who hasn't watched it, if you want to watch it and you don't want spoilers, you have 3, 2, 1.
Wait, I haven't seen it.
It's the squid, Jess. Like they changed the squid.
Yes, it's a 4-hour-long movie.
Okay, I'll watch that. I thought it was a shot-for-shot perfect thing.
Well, a lot of it was. They really did do a good job on a lot of it, and there was a lot of. I mean, from looking at Snyder's movies, how good he is with cinematography. He does really well with capturing the same, framing and all of that, and everything's bleak and looks like what they're going for. But the squid is something that just like it wouldn't resonate very well with the average audience. Someone go in there just be like, what the hell is this? And so they change it into something that kind of makes more sense, but they don't change it into something that makes less sense in the context. They change it into something that actually makes sense in the context of the world that's been created here.
Yeah.
So it actually winds up being okay. It's not jarring. It's not like you're not going to sit there and be like, wait, what? Where did they pull that from?
I like Snyder's interpretation of Watchmen. It's pretty close to what the book is, and I didn't mind the changes that they made towards the ending. I thought it suited it for what it was. It is, for the most part, it is pretty much a shot-for-shot remake, or as close as you can get to the Watchmen. There's like an extended cut or something like that includes like the Black Freighter stuff inserted into it.
Yeah.
There's it's like a 4-hour-long movie, 4 hours and a half, where it has a lot of stuff in it. I think the original cut of that was like 2 hours 45, almost 3 hours, and the extended cut was like 4 hours plus.
Because there was not only there's the theatrical cut, then there's the director's cut, then there's the ultimate cut. So it's the ultimate is the director's cut plus the extra Black Freighter stuff.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
I would just watch the middle cut with the I think it was like 40 minutes of new scenes or something. I think that fleshed it out better than the theatrical.
When you already know the Black Freighter stuff, you really don't need to watch that.
Okay.
Plus, to me, who's the guy that played Rorschach?
Oh,
Jackie Earl Haley.
yeah.
To me, like when I read Watchmen, when I read it, it's his voice, because I really liked his performance.
Yeah. I think he was the best part of the movie.
Damn, now I need to go rewatch that fucking movie, man. I'm gonna spend 4 hours of my time.
Plus the opening with the song and everything, that was probably one of my favorite openings to a comic book movie, I guess, or a movie.
Yeah, the times are changing.
Yeah, I think that it was a little underrated by a lot of people. And I think that how much I enjoyed that movie added to my disappointment with I'm sorry to like go into this, but like added to my disappointment with Batman versus Superman, because I was like, you did this. How did you do this? Like, what were you thinking? Like, Watchmen showed something that had care and finesse to it, in my opinion, and BVS did not.
But we did find out that Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent had the same mother's name.
Thank God for that.
No, Alan Moore doesn't watch movies because he thinks that they're dumb. Director, he said that. Like, I don't watch movies; they're dumb.
I don't believe him.
But this is also the same guy that thinks he conjured a snake god named Vishnu from his head.
Yeah.
So take that what you will.
He's a little bit cuckoo with that epic beard of him.
Freaking Rasputin looking ass.
Oh yeah.
Always thought he
So
was another member.
what do we think about the Watchmen TV series?
I'm excited for that.
Is that on HBO?
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a sequel to the book.
Yeah, they're pulling stuff from Doomsday Clock, which that kind of has me. Because
Not
I
even done yet?
No, they're using the 2 new characters from that book, right? The marionette.
No, I don't know it yet. I haven't read it yet.
yeah, they're using Marionette. They at least casted. They revealed that they had casted Marionette, so that's definitely a thing in there.
Mm.
I like what I've seen. I like the trailer of it. It looks pretty good.
I haven't even watched the trailer. I kind of forgot that the trailer happened.
I mean, from what I gather from the trailers, that the general premise is that the book that Rorschach wrote has gotten out, and people have found out about it, and now
Oh.
like a bunch of people are wearing Rorschach masks, and it's starting like a revolution and stuff like that. Jeremy Irons is playing Ozymandias, and that's all I need to watch.
Cool.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
wife said Alfred has no business being that hot.
Alfred.
Because it was Alfred in BVS, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Justice League.
Yeah, she was like, I think her literal comment was like, I can't take this movie seriously because Alfred has no business being this hot. And then on top of that, she tapped out at the nightmare sequence. She was like,
Oh yeah.
okay, I was already losing it with this movie, but at this point, I don't even know what the fuck this is. So, peace. And I like turned it off, and I was like, yeah, this is sucking all the joy from me right now. I can't do it.
I don't like the extended cut of Batman versus Superman. I don't love it, but I thought it was pretty good.
I still need to.
I'm gonna be the weird one. I love that cut.
The extended cut?
Yeah, I'm a fan of the movies because I suspend my disbelief.
Yeah.
And to me, like this is it's an Elseworlds tale. It's a different, darker interpretation, whatever. I get it because the original plan was not to build a shared universe. It was just that he wanted to do a trilogy, but then WB was like, "Hey, we can make money off of this," and a bunch of crazy shit happened on that set. So, yeah, I totally get the criticism.
The ultimate cut of Batman v Superman, it actually fills in a lot of stuff that kind of doesn't make sense if you're just watching the regular cut, as far as certain characters and why they're doing what they're doing. Namely, I think Lex Luthor. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Didn't Lex Luthor pee in a jar though?
We don't need to talk about that, Ryley. We could just walk right past that.
Grandma's peach tea, I think is what.
Yeah.
Are you saying the director's cut of BVS actually makes more sense?
Yes.
It's not an amazing movie, but it's better.
Okay. I'm willing to watch that.
Like the scenes in that cut with Superman going into Gotham and doing actual reporting and investigating on the effect that Batman has on the people and all that stuff. I really, really like that part because it was something totally different that we didn't get to see in the theatrical version.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter anymore because we've got good movies now, like Wonder Woman and Aquaman and Shazam.
Oh,
Yay.
Shazam. I got to get my wife to see Shazam.
It's coming out in July. It was announced today, the 4K.
Nice. I want my wife to see that. She's going to love that movie.
I'm picking up the Steelbook that day.
Yes, that steelbook looks cool.
Yeah, it does.
I'm going to rent it.
I'm going to red box it.
Yeah, that's me. I'm a red box it.
Before we wrap, because I'm sure that's coming soon, because we're almost at 2 hours now. Did any of you, someone watched Venom? Who watched Venom here?
I did.
I still haven't seen
Yeah.
I did.
Okay,
I didn't.
what did you guys think? I didn't watch it.
It was my worst movie of last year.
Jess, what did you think?
It was my best movie of last year.
Jess is like, I actually hate the character Venom, but damn it, that movie was great.
No, I know why it was Luis's worst movie. I will say that it was not a great movie. There was one really cringe. There was a line in there that was so cringy. I was just like, oh, who wrote that? It was just so
in the wind.
so cringy, but I had fun in it. I'm not gonna say it was a great cinema. I'm not gonna say it was a great movie, but I went in and I found myself smiling and enjoying it, and I dug what's his name's acting. I thought he did a good job as Eddie Brock. Tom Hardy, yeah. Now, was he as good as he was in Mad Max Fury Road? No, but he was. I thought the whole. I don't know. I had fun. It was. I didn't hate it. I get why Luis. Actually, I don't understand Luis. He's a mystery to me. He really is. I don't get the whole Captain Marvel hate thing. I don't. He's a mystery to me. I understand it was not great filmmaking, but it was not freaking Hellboy bad.
No.
It was fun. I enjoyed it. It totally wasted what's her name? What is that?
Michelle Williams?
Michelle Williams. Yeah. I mean, that woman can act. She is a real bona fide actress, and she was given a nothing part, a very bland part in that movie. But it didn't have any slow spots. It kept my interest. It kept going. It didn't have any slow spots. It kept my interest. It kept moving along, and I was interested in the villain. I was interested in Venom himself. I thought it was funny in a lot of spots. So there you go.
I'm thinking about it right now because we're currently at a point where we have, even more so than Rick Remender's run, probably the most critically acclaimed run on Venom with Donny Cates.
Which is what? Donny Cates?
Donny Cates' run. It's getting the hardcover treatment soon. It's been really well regarded almost entirely across the board. It does a lot of deep cuts into exploring the past of the character of not just Eddie Brock, but of the symbiote itself, and delving into that the aliens origins and stuff like that, doing a little bit of retconning, but in a way that I think is respectful of where it's what its sources are. And it's leading into a big event with the whole Absolute Carnage thing, which is on the top of my head because the solicits for Marvel's, I don't remember what month, came out today, and they're like, it's a full-fledged little event. It's only going to be for issues, but it's got a ton of tie-ins for something that small. I guess it's probably about on the same level event size-wise as like Spider-Verse or Clone Conspiracy, where there's a handful of miniseries tying into it. I didn't even know they were going to make it into something that big. But in an era where Venom is actually receiving that much praise, I feel like if they're trying to make another Venom movie, they're going to have to put a little more into it than making something that's, it's fun. It was fun. I had fun watching it. Like, they got to do something else. And I also was just thinking, because I went to Target and bought the Venom shirt that I'm wearing today, and the guy that was checking me out at the register.
Ooh, he was checking you out?
Yeah, he was like, man, oh, nice little body there. You got those purple shorts on. And he was like, oh man, did you watch the Venom movie? And I was like, no, actually I didn't. And then he went on to say it was the best movie I watched in that year. And I was like,
oh, that poor bastard.
Oh shit!
man.
Like, he goes, man, I liked it, and he listed like other movies that came out. And he's like, I liked it better than that movie. It was so good. It was the best. If you like the character at all, you gotta watch it, man. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. And I was with Megan, and she was like getting mad because I was kind of like standoffish, and she's like, why are you so rude? And I was like, I know I haven't seen the movie, but I've definitely not heard anyone outside of this guy say that it was their favorite movie of the year.
Like kicked in the head by a mule.
I think it probably appealed to people who did not know anything about the character.
Yeah.
To
It looks
comic
like-
book fans, they probably didn't dig it. To non-comic book fans, they probably thought it was fun.
I haven't seen it, but it looks like one of those late 90s action movies where you just turn off your brain, but it's not that great either, you know?
Dude, it ruined my buzz. Okay, I was high watching it and it ruined it for me.
I've only seen the post-credit scene, and that is literally one of the worst post-credit scenes I have ever seen in
Oh,
my
the one
life.
with Carnage, you mean?
It's
Oh,
so
man.
bad. Woody
That was,
Harrelson,
that
fake
was
wig.
stupid. That I admit that was completely the dumbest thing I have ever seen. That was
And
stupid.
the line that he says that he's promising carnage when he leaves. I'm like, what is this? 1995?
Yeah,
Really?
no, that was stupid. I give you that, Gio. That was stupid. He
Okay.
looked stupid and he said stupid stuff.
I gotta go. Megan's trying to call me from Mexico.
Ooh.
All right, where can we find you, Riley Mo?
Riley Mo on YouTube, RYLEYMO, and Riley Mo on Instagram, RYLEYM0, and on the Facebook group Omnibus Collectors Comic Swap and Community.
Right
And
on,
Otaku's
man.
Farm, that as well. Otaku's Farm.
Oh, you love that farm.
There's no drama there. It's nice.
It's
Yeah.
wholesome fun.
I love Otaku's Farm, man. They get along better than the regular group.
That I believe.
Nothing ever happens in there.
That I believe.
The worst drama is when someone says One Piece sucks and everyone else is like, "Fuck you."
Everyone's really cool in there. I'm like, oh wow, so this is what the regular group was before we got like 4,000 members in it.
Yeah. All right, but I'm gonna peace out, guys.
All right, thanks, Rye.
See y'all later.
Luis, where can they find you on the internet?
Comics Guide 101 on Facebook and Twitter. And
That
my
was
dog.
quick. That was very quick. And a week in
Me.
Geekdom. Where can they find
Yeah,
you?
you can find me here on YouTube. I was going to say something else. Here on YouTube, where I talk about anime, manga, comics, and everything else in between. That's a week in Geekdom.
That is awesome. You cover it all.
I try
can-
to.
You do. And you can find me, Omnidog, and Omnidog's Vault on YouTube and on Instagram, Omnidogs_Vault. So for the rest of the guys and for InStockTrades.com, who happen to be our sponsor, I say peace and love. Peace and love. Peace and love. Thank you, everybody. The chat was great tonight. And please hit that like button, smash that like button, and subscribe to us. Leave comments and
Smash it.
smash that piece. Yeah, smash that like button. Yeah, man. Peace and love. Peace and love.